Okay, we're going to work on rectangular patterns. So open a part and start a 2D sketch. Standard stuff so far. Put it on any plane. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. All right, so we're going to work on with this thing right here, which makes a rectangular pattern of things. So let's do this. Let's make a rectangle first. Let's do a center point rectangle. So 2-point center. Lock it to the center of the coordinate system. Make sure that's green. Click. And if you want, you can dimension it now. You can type in the numbers right now. You see where it's blue and it says 5.366? Well, we can type that anything we want. Let's make this 12 inches. No, let's make it 16 inches wide. And then hit Tab. And we'll make it 12 inches tall. And we'll back out, zoom out, and we'll see it. There's our rectangle. If not, you make the rectangle and dimension it later. That's fine too, either way. But we have a rectangle that is 16 inches wide by 12 inches tall. Okay. And we're going to just work on putting a pattern of evenly spaced objects in here. So first thing we do is we get our starting object. I will make it, let's make mine another rectangle or a square or something like that. So, and let's put it rectangle 2-point. And I'm just going to put it here for now. I'm going to not connect it to anything. So I don't want to have it lock onto anything. So I stayed away from that dotted line there. Click. There you go. Now we're going to dimension it. Let's make it 1 inch by 1 inch. So 1 inch that way. And 1 inch this way. So there's a 1 inch square. Okay. Now we have to decide where we want to put it, our starting object. I'm going to say we're going to dimension it from this side to this side of the square. Let's call that 1.5 inches. All right, and then we'll do from this side to this side of the square. Let's make that 1.5 inches. Yeah, would make. Okay, so this is our starting square. And what we're going to do is we're going to, let's say we want a bunch of squares evenly spread out now. So we don't want to make a bunch of different squares. There's a pattern, this rectangular pattern thing will help us do this. So we'll click on that, and a little box will pop up. So the first thing it wants to know, and it's already highlighted and ready to go, is it wants us to use our arrow, that's what this means, to select the geometry, or the thing that you want a pattern of, which is going to be our square. So we have to click on all the parts of the square that we want repeated, which is all of them. Now they're bright blue. And then there's 2 directions we can go. So we're going to click here, and we're going to choose a direction based on this rectangle that we see here. So this, if I click this, I believe it'll do left and right. If I click this, it'll do up and down. So let's do left and right first, see if we do that. All right, this thing showed up. Why? Because right now, it is doing a pattern of 2, see where my cursor is? 2 of these objects, one here, one here. They are currently an inch apart, which means one just starts at the other one. So let's say we want to increase the distance between to 1.5 inches. Now that's spread them apart a little bit. Now that's the distance between the centers of the objects. Between the center of this square and the center of that one. Or you can look at it as the distance from this side here to this side here, either way. But we can mess around with that. And then we want to say, how many do we want? Well, what if I do 4? All right. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I want more than that. Let's say I want 10. All right. Now 10 takes me all the way to the edge there. So I'm going to cut that down to 9. There we go. That looks like a pretty good pattern. So I have 9 going across. Now I'm going to do the down part. So let's do direction. And pick this direction, the up and down. Use this side to indicate it. So you use this rectangle sides. And now it's going to, now interesting, it's putting them above. But I want them to go below. So the trick is this distance is going to be negative. So I'm going to set this distance at negative 1.5. Negative 1.5. That, notice, moves them below where we were. That's what the negative does. Now I don't want just 2 rows. I want, let's see, about 6 rows. Not bad. Can we fit in 7? 7's a little much. So I'm going to go with 6. Whoops. Oh, yeah, go with 6. Boom. We'll do that. All right. And then I think I've got my pattern laid out there, so I hit OK. Evaluates how the expression the negative doesn't like negative 1.5. Okay, so I paused the recording while I figured that out, and here's what the deal is. It doesn't like the negative. It kind of works here, but what we can do, but it doesn't like the negative. What we can do is flip the direction right here. So see this little area? I click that, it'll do it the other way, 1.5. So I take that back. You're not going to use the negative. You can just flip the direction using this button. There we go. Learn something new every day. It used to be you could do the negative, but things have changed. All right. So I hit OK. And there's my pattern. Now, if I wanted to make this distance from here to here the same, I could. Like, see how this is 1.5? If I want this to be 1.5, I could, but I'm going to have to get rid of this dimension first. Because if I tell it to make from here to here 1.5, it's going to want to move this line up, but it won't because I already told it to make it 12. So if I wanted to do that, to center this, I could delete that dimension, and then I could create a dimension that says I want from, say, this to be not 2 inches, but 1.5. There we go, and now it's centered. If you're not sure, if we want to know what this distance is, what we can do is go to Inspect and Distance and measure the distance from this line to this line. And that is, in fact, 1.5. That came out evenly. Good. All right, so we created a rectangular pattern. We're done. This is really all this is about is how to create that pattern. You're going to use the same sort of thing to make whatever's in the picture on the assignment.